ये होता है कि इसमें ये होता है कि सिर्फ 100 पार्टिसिपेंट आ सकते हैं। जो पहले ज्वाइन कर लेगा उसे कोई दिक्कत।
அந்த மாமா பொண்ணு
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir.
டெஸ்ட் எல்லாம் சொன்னாங்கல்ல.
Dear participant,
Yes,
we'll start the session in another 5 minutes. Am I audible?
very much.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, welcome, sir. Mr. Ravinder Singh Chawla, sir. Dear participants, you can mute yourself immediately after entering into the Zoom hall.
Mr. Tangakumaran?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Ravindra Singh sir has joined. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we can start.
Good afternoon, madam.
Hello, sir. Happy afternoon. Good to catch up with you on this platform, sir.
Ma'am, excuse me. Mr. Ravindra Singh Chawla, sir. Good afternoon,
Sir,
sir.
please unmute.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah,
Good afternoon to you. Just 1 minute. I'm just switching on my camera.
Okay, done, sir. Done. Welcome.
Okay. Madam, good afternoon to you. I'm sorry, there was some technical issue which took some time.
Oh, there's no issue, sir. Welcome.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. Shall I share this presentation?
Just a minute, sir. We have a
Okay,
small
all right. All right.
intro, and then we will continue. Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Tangakumaran?
Yes, ma'am. Shall I start, ma'am?
Yeah. Yeah, please
Yeah.
start.
Good afternoon, everyone. And since I'm sitting in a separate room and no one is near me, there is no need for me to wear a mask.
Same here.
Thank you, ma'am. And let us all follow all the precautions and then make the world COVID-free as soon as possible. Good afternoon to everyone. SA College of Arts and Science welcomes you all to the 7-day online faculty development program on cognitive analysis in financial services conducted by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell and the School of Commerce and Management. This is Tangakumaran from Department of English before you hosting this session. I would like to start the session with the words of Swami Vivekananda. I quote, "A few heart-whole, sincere, and energetic men and women can do more than a mob in a century." I unquote. The above words is strongly proved by the SA College of Arts and Science, then and there and now and then, with a handful of strong and best people. On behalf of the college, I welcome the guest of the day, Mr. Ravindra Singh Chawla, RSC Skill Building and Consulting Solutions, LLP. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to welcome the director, Dr. Veeraraghavapuram, the principal, Dr. Malathi Selvakumar, the coordinator of the faculty development program, Dr. S. Ganapathy, heads of the various departments, teaching and non-teaching faculty members, and the technical faculty members to this online FTP. Prayer is the opening of the heart to God as to a friend. Let us open our heart and minds with the invocation. Let us raise for the Tamil Thai Vazhuthu. Thank you all. Welcoming is an art of making the arrived guests to feel as friends. For that, for this noble act, I would like to call a person who lives as a standing example for the court. A leader is the one who knows the way, who shows the way, and who leads the way. I request the principal of the institution, Dr. S. Malathi Selvakumar, to start with the welcoming note. Madam, please.
Very happy afternoon to all of you who have assembled here. I take great pleasure in extending my warmest welcome to Mr. Ravindra Singh Chawla, a good friend of mine. I think our acquaintance dates back to nearly a year when I had an opportunity to attend an FTP organized by Thakur University in Mumbai, where I was bowled by his sessions. It was so interesting and it was very, very informative. And I felt that it should, whatever knowledge he's got should be, shared with more people. And I loved his style of sharing information. It was something which a novice like me could actually connect with. And I just liked the little examples, and the way he went about his methodology was very different. So after that, I think we had another session with him personally with a group of friends. And today I'm so thankful to our management and our coordinating faculty who have joined hands and allowed us to conduct this FTP for a week. I extend a warm welcome to you, sir. And I'm sure you're going to do something even better than what I had a privilege of participating in the earlier two occasions. And a very warm welcome to all the other participants of this week-long FTP. I'm sure that financial markets nowadays are playing such an important role. It becomes very important that all of us have at least some basic knowledge about what's happening there. And maybe because of the respective disciplines we belong to, we may or may not have had an opportunity to go through the entire contents of the market workings and things like that. And I'm sure sir will throw light on the little nuances which go behind the financial markets. So this was coined, or rather this theme was coined, taking into account the need of the hour, because right now we find so much of every news ends with indexes which are happening in the stock markets. So I thought we should have some basic knowledge about what it is. And I'm looking forward to a fantastic session, a week-long session, sir, with you. So I really wish all the participants a happy learning experience. Welcoming all of you once again on behalf of SACAS. SA College of Arts and Science. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It is so heartwarming. Thank you so much for giving this. And it was really very happy to meet a known person together. And then we are just waiting to have the fruitful session. Yes. So before getting into the session, and before going into the next agenda, I would like to give a short intro about this FTP, online FTP for the 7-day. So the title of this FTP is Cognitive Analysis in Financial Services, and it is planned for 7 days. And the first day, it is like for introduction to financial planning. And the second and third day will be on investment management and equity market. And fourth day will be on investment management on debt markets and anti-money laundering provisions and its relevance for the fifth day. And the sixth and seventh day will be on creating wealth with mutual funds. So after the end of every session, you will have a link. A link will be sent to you, which is in the form of MCQ. So you have to attend that. And based on that performance, your grade will be given in your certificate. And attendance is mandatory for all the 7 days. And feedback links will also be posted in the chat box. So that is all a short introduction about this session. And regarding today's session, sir is going to address on the topic of the topic like concept of financial planning, 6-step process, overview of risk management, investment planning and retirement planning, code of ethics, and business aspects of financial planning. So thank you very much, sir. I'm really sorry if I have gone wrong in some words because I'm new to this commerce and management stream. Thank you so much. And before getting into the session, I would like to call another person to talk. That is, being a good leader isn't about having power over others, but about instilling power in others. We have a lively example for these words with us, who encourages people and make them to do wonders. A woman of high professionalism and loving motherhood. I request our director, Dr. V. Sai Satyavadi, to give her special address. Madam, please.
Thank you for your intro. Good afternoon to one and all present. On behalf of our management, principal, staff, and students, it is my privilege to extend my warm welcome to Mr. Ravinder Singh Chawla, founder and managing partner, RSA Skills Building and Consulting Solutions, LLP. Welcome you, sir. In the words of Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Pursuing education in SA College of Arts and Science is an invaluable first step in building up an exceptional foundation. This platform sets up a very promising roadmap to excellence. SA College of Arts and Science focuses on maintaining a benchmark standard of education and encourages the faculty and students to enhance their knowledge through webinars, seminars, and faculty development programs that are a regular feature of our college. With a strong school of commerce and management that offers BCom General, Accounting and Finance, Corporate Secretaryship, Computer Application, Bank Management, and Business Administration, this FTP is organized to create an awareness on the growing and pivotal role of financial markets and its nuances. An intelligent man thinks he knows everything. A wise man knows that there is still something to learn. We, the wise people here, would like to learn more. So we have Mr. Ravinder Singh Chawla, founder, managing partner, RSA Skill Building and Consulting Solutions, LLP, here to talk on financial planning today. I welcome you, sir, once again. Happy learning and spread this happiness to all. I wish you all the best for all your endeavors. 2 படி வைத்து 3ஆம் படியில் காலூன்றும் கல்லூரி கற்பக விருட்சமாகி அப்துல் கலாம் கனவின் நிஜங்களை உருவாக்கி வெற்றி படிகளை மட்டுமே கொண்ட கலைக்கூடமாக வாழ்த்துக்கள் பல பல. நன்றி வணக்கம். Thank you.
Thank you very much, madam. It was really a wonderful intro. And as you said, there is a saying in Tamil that is Tolviye Vetriyin Mudal Padi. But for SA College of Arts and Science, like Vetriye Vetriyin Mudal Padi. So we always have victory only. So thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you for the wonderful speech. And let us go to the next part of the session. One can't change the direction of the wind, but can adjust the sail to reach the destination. Here comes the captain of the ship, the coordinator of the FTP, the IQAC director, one who always excels in this effort, Dr. S. Ganapathy, to introduce the chief guest. Sir, please.
Thank you, Mr. Thankakumran, sir. Thank you. It's a great honor for me to introduce our guest to this forum, Mr. Ravinder Singh Chawla. He is the founding and managing partner of RSC Skill Building and Consulting Solutions. He did his postgraduate in economics, and he's a university topper in MBA, and with a quite few, like other professional qualification and certifications too. He is having almost 3 decades of academic and as well as corporate experience. He is associated with learning and development facilitator, content creator, financial planner, management consultant. He's a very good motivational speaker and coach. And he is also visiting faculty for various institutions across India. He spent nearing almost 2 decades of his life in corporate sector, where he has given, as an advisor, setting up and managing profit centers and verticals at national level, and managing large teams for rapidly growing organization like India's top big corporate houses, including multinational corporations. He is very much passionate about like financial literacy, and his mission is to to make learning become simple. So that's where we have chosen the right person for this FDP on cognitive analysis in financial services. So today we are privileged to have an opportunity to listen to him on introduction to financial planning. So on behalf of all gathered here, I welcome you once again to this FDP 7 days FDP on cognitive analysis in financial services. I welcome you, sir. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. S. Ganapathy, for the wonderful introduction. And meeting great people is great, and getting introduced with them is greater, and listening to their words is the greatest. So without much ado, let's go to the session. Let us listen to the words of the guest, Mr. Ravinder Singh Chawla. Sir, please.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, madam, for the warm introduction and the kind words. I really don't know if I deserve, all those, all that appreciation, but thank you so much for that. I would definitely try my level best to, make learning become simple and support the participants really be able to understand the dynamics of the financial services environment, which is continuously changing. Over the next 7 days, we would be learning about different aspects of the capital markets. And we'll start with the basics of financial planning today. And I would definitely look forward to the participation of everyone, because I would want this session, all these sessions, to be very interactive. At the end of the session, we'd be, giving a link, which would be the link to a quiz. Every day we'll have 5 questions, and the quiz is going to be administered over Google Forms. So kindly participate in that. We would also be sharing the scores of top 25 participants every day, and that would be on a cumulative basis. So let's see who are the toppers, because that the whole objective is to learn, and minimum scores have to be 50% over the next 7 days, so as to be eligible for the certificates. I would really want to thank Principal Madam, for giving me the opportunity, because ultimately it's other than the parents, it's the teachers who groom these citizens. So whatever we are, apart from the parents, it's our teachers, because of whom we would have been able to achieve whatever we have in our lives. And getting the opportunity to interact with teachers, faculty members, is something which in itself is a privilege. And on the various FDP programs which I have been facilitating, I have always enjoyed that privilege, because there's so much to learn continuously. And especially the fact, because this knowledge is going to be supporting these students to even learn even more, because Financial services is something which is continuously changing. And in today's time, as we know, we are at the highest level in the Sensex. So obviously, this is something which is very, very critical. So I'll just share my presentation and we'll start. All right. So welcome to the first day of the faculty development program. Today we are going to be learning about the basics of financial planning, right? Uh, uh, so let's get going. Just 1 minute. The presentation is getting uploaded. Just 1 minute. All right. So first of all, I would want to know from you, what is it that you expect from this session? If you could kindly share your thoughts in the chat box. What is it that you expect from this session in terms of the basics of financial planning? If you could write in the chat box, please, what is it that you expect? Any expectations? All right, we'll start, and then as any expectations get shared, we'll keep checking it out. All right. So in today's session, we'll be learning about the concept of financial planning, the financial planning process. What exactly is financial planning? We'll learn about the asset classes and investments. We'll learn about the asset allocation concept, and then we'll also learn about the concept of managing risk. Now, over a period of time, over the next 7 days, we'll be learning about many of these things in detail, because we'll be learning about the equity markets, the debt markets, and also about mutual funds. So many of these things would get discussed in detail. First of all, since there are many ladies in this particular session, and that's indeed a very good thing, because unfortunately, the statistics have proven that very few ladies, they take independent financial decisions. So that's been an area of improvement in our country, because unfortunately, as you could see in this particular slide, even in terms of the working women, very few working women, they take independent financial decisions, right? So you can very well imagine as to what the situation would be for those women who are not working. Now, we all know that ultimately it's the ladies who create the citizens. Whatever we are because of our mothers, right? So if the ladies were to become financially literate I'm talking about, obviously they would be able to support their children, and other people also become financially literate, and that would really that would really help, because not only would that increase the household savings, but would also contribute in terms of creating capital. Okay, so I would request you to make this session interactive. So what do you think is financial planning? Please share your thoughts. Please write in the chat box. What do you think is financial planning? Somebody's microphone is on. If you could kindly mute it. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your expectations. I appreciate that. All right. What about financial planning? What do we mean by financial planning? Okay. Appropriate allocation of funds that we have. Excellent. Very good. Fantastic. What else? What else comes to your mind? Correct way of investing. Perfectly right. Yes. What else? What could be a simple way of understanding financial planning? Absolutely right. Very well said, Mr. Javed, Dr. Javed. Absolutely right. Forecasting. Yes, Matilda ma'am. Perfectly right. You are absolutely right. Fantastic. Thank you. All right. So let's learn more about it. Yes, to meet emergency needs. Perfectly right. Fantastic. Absolutely right. All right. So it's very simply identification of one's financial goals and then finalizing the strategies to be able to achieve those goals, right? So we need to understand what our financial goals are and then how can we achieve those goals. It's as simple as that. I will definitely try not to use jargons so as to be able to make it very simple to understand. And this is very simplistic and definition of, or let's say, understanding of financial planning, that you need to understand what your financial goals are and how to be able to achieve. Absolutely right, madam. How to save our hard-earned present money for future goals and making the right plans for a better future. Perfectly right. Superb. Very, very informed, participants. Amazing. Superb. Thank you. No wonder you are teachers, you are faculty members, and it's indeed a privilege being here with you all. Super. All right. Now let's talk about financial goals. So what do you mean by financial goals? What are financial goals? Could you please give a few examples of financial goals? What do you mean by financial goals? We said that financial planning is all about understanding what your financial goals are and then devising strategies to be able to achieve those financial goals. So what are financial goals? Okay. Right investments. Yes, correct. Yes. What else? Return on investments. Absolutely right. Yeah. How to be able to increase the return on investments. Yeah. Again, this is something which we will discuss. Return on investment, keeping in mind the appropriate risks, right? We cannot ignore cautions to the winds. We have to keep in mind that we have to focus on the risk reward ratio. Yeah, absolutely. Saving more, achieving the targeted financial returns. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Amazing. Very good. Thank you. Correct. Yes. So again, every investor would have risk appetite. Some people can take more risk. So the whole objective is to be able to take informed decisions, right? And that is very, very important. Now, here we are talking about taking your own financial decisions. But many times, in case the investor or the person doesn't want to really devote time towards financial planning, then in that case we could take the services of a financial planner who can do that. But here in this session today, we'll be talking from the perspective of you as your own financial planners and you taking informed decisions, right? This session is not being done in a manner as if it were to be done if the participants were distributors or financial planners. We are talking about who need to offer their services to the clients. We are talking about we being able to do our own financial planning, right? And also, how could this knowledge be then shared with the students, right? Because at the end of the day, see, the fact of the matter is that I started focusing on my investments much later in my career because I did not know about it. When I started my career, I did not know anything about savings and investments. And I am sure the same would have been the situation with many of you, right? But we would definitely want our students to be able to learn about it so that they could create wealth for themselves, right? Every parent wants that they should be able to give to their children what they did not get from their parents. Similarly, every teacher or every professor would definitely want to give the same knowledge to their children, which probably took them years to acquire, isn't it? And the same goes about financial wellness or financial services as well. So the examples of different types of financial goals, right? These are the various examples of financial goals. Retirement planning, very important. Obviously, retirement planning is very, very critical. We would definitely want to make sure that, we have our retirement planning done because this is something which is very, very important. And the same thing is about education of children, marriage of children, right? This is house for yourself, taking care of your dreams. It could be car, it could be a foreign trip, etc., etc. Right? So these are the various types of financial goals that people will have. Now, financial goals could, in a very simple manner, to keep it very simple, be described in terms of our responsibilities, our dreams, and managing risk, right? So financial goals could be described in terms of managing our responsibilities, managing our dreams, and managing the risks, right? So kindly tell me, what are the kind of responsibilities that we may have? What kind of responsibilities people would have? Yes, please. What kind of responsibilities would people have? What could be the examples of financial goals in terms of your responsibilities? Yes, please. What could be the examples of financial goals in terms of responsibilities? Child's education, perfectly right. Yes. In taking care of future expenses and investing money for that. Yes. Home. The first home which you want, let's say somebody is staying in a rental property, then the first home would be a responsibility which is there, right? If you want more homes, then that would be dream. Retirement, absolutely right. Very well said, sir. Very important responsibility, right? I personally believe, that's my opinion, that retirement planning has to be the first, financial goal which everybody must focus on. Generally, people believe that children's education is a bigger responsibility. I personally think that retirement planning is a much bigger responsibility that we have. Because let's accept it, we cannot, shift this responsibility of retirement planning onto someone else. We have to take care of it ourselves, right? Today, there are many options, and who knows it better than you, because you've been in this education field. Today, these students have access to educational loans and other things, right? Scholarships, etc. But retirement planning is something which we cannot pass on to anyone else, right? Yeah, so that's a very important responsibility, in my opinion. Now, that's a debatable point. Many people will think that no, children's education is a bigger responsibility, but my personal opinion is this: that retirement planning is a much better responsibility. Yes, children's marriage also, that's again a responsibility. Yes, madam, Pratibha madam, perfectly right. Right. So let's now learn about the examples pertaining to all these responsibilities. Right. So responsibilities would be like children's education, children's marriage, right, retirement planning, and again responsibility towards our aged parents. Right. Everyone would have, our parents would have taken care of us. Now, obviously, when they grow old, it would be our responsibility to take care of our parents, isn't it? And that's a very, very important responsibility. And everybody would have that kind of responsibility. Let's now talk about the dreams. Okay, what could be the examples of financial goals towards dreams? Please share your thoughts. What kind of financial goals could we have towards dreams? What kind of dreams could we have, which we may have to, really invest money for? Foreign trip? Yes. Yes, Nafisa madam. Yes. What else? Foreign trip. Set for children. A set for children is a responsibility. Many people would want to have that. It could be a dream also for some people. Smooth running of our life, yeah. We may not, we wouldn't want to face any problems. Dreams are those desires which we generally have towards us and the family. Vacation, yes, Priya madam, perfectly right. Vacations. What what else? Let's check out. Let's check it out. So maybe bigger home, right? If we have a home right now, which is a smaller home, we may want a bigger home. We may want multiple cars, and today everyone wants SUVs. Even a family of 3 people would want to have a 7-seater SUV, right? We would want to have foreign trips. We would want to have all different kinds of gadgets in our home, right? Bigger television, various other things, tablets, etc., etc. These are the kind of dreams we will have, right? Okay. Now, see, we human beings would have big dreams, but the Almighty may have different plans, right? And we all saw it, unfortunately, in the times of COVID, of a couple of months back, right? I am sure we would have seen a lot of agony, a lot of distress. Uh, uh, it may have happened, in our distant family itself, right? Unfortunately, which means that there are certain risks which may impact us phenomenally, may impact us adversely. And beyond the point, we may not have any control over those, right? As they say, man proposes, but God disposes, isn't it? Ultimately, we are like kite in the hands of the Almighty. I mean, it's a string that the Almighty has in his hand, right? Whenever the Almighty pulls the string, I mean, the kite is gone, right? So it's important that we also have goals towards managing our risks in case, yes, Almighty decides everything. So ultimately, it is important that we manage the risks. See, it's not in our control, but we would want to make sure that our family remains safe. If we have any illness or if we get hospitalized, then we will not have to withdraw money from our investments pertaining to other goals, etc. Right? So that is those are the kind of goals that we have towards risk management. So let us check that out. So life insurance, health insurance, home insurance, travel insurance, right? insurance for all the assets that we may have. Okay, so these are the kind of goals that we may have, financial goals that we may have towards managing our risks. Right? Let's now learn about the financial planning process. So how do we go about it? Right? How do we go about planning, this entire activity, and to make sure that we are able to execute our plans well? Because many times in our life, we plan very well, right? But we may not be able to execute it. And as we know, the most important thing is execution. Yes, madam, absolutely right. Poonamallee, madam, perfectly right. We transfer our risk. So we transfer our risk to the insurance company. Perfectly right. Fantastic. Thank you. Right. Okay, great. So let's learn more about all these things. So what comes to your mind? What do you think would be the various steps in the financial planning process? How should we go about it? What's your opinion? How do you think we should go about it? What could be the series of steps that we need to take to be able to achieve this process of financial planning? Okay, fantastic. Considering the avenues, right? Where can we invest money, right? But what's the first? Risk and return? Perfectly right. Starts with research. Yes, sir. Yusuf sir, perfectly right. Yes, madam. Madam, you've raised your hand. You may write in the chat box, please. Affordable investments. Yeah, perfectly right. Very true. Right? Invest across different things to be able to make a portfolio. Right? In our portfolio, we may have investments across different asset classes. Develop the ideas. Absolutely right, Midilda, madam. Perfectly right. Right? Developing the ideas. Because at the end of the day, we need to first think about something and then make sure we had plans, and then we need to make sure that we execute those plans, isn't it? So let's learn about the entire process. Smart investments and careful planning. Absolutely right. Right? So first is planning, and then is executing those plans. Right? So the first step is very clearly, first step, second step relates to planning and then executing. Yes, Pratibha madam, considering requirements during various stages of life and planning accordingly. Absolutely right. Very well said. Excellent, excellent. I am sure we are going to have a great program over the next 7 days, because I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much for your participation. Let's keep it going, because that is what would make us learn from each other. See, learning is something which is a continuous process. Now, nobody can say that I know everything, right? We all need to constantly learn, and that's where this particular all these training sessions are so good. We could get to learn so many things from each other, right? Fantastic. Let's keep it going, right? So the first step is, say if I'm in Mumbai and I need to go to Chennai, right? First thing is I need to very clearly know where am I currently. Whether I am in Delhi, whether I am in Mumbai, whether I am in Bangalore, whether I am in Kochi, right? So first thing is, where are we right now? The second step is, where do we want to go? Where do we want to go? What's our destination? And our destination is in terms of our financial goals, right? So for example, retirement planning could be our financial goal. And then we will come to how much do I need to, accumulate for my retirement, right? Where are we right now is where, how much money do I have currently? It could be in terms of what is my net worth, what is my disposable income, how much money can I spare for my investments, right? So the first step is knowing where you are. Because let's say if I am in Bangalore and I want to go to Chennai, then the approach would be different from if I were in Mumbai and I had to go to Chennai, right? If I were in Bangalore and I want to go to Chennai, I can drive down also, isn't it? But driving down from Mumbai to Chennai would be little difficult, right? Again, if let's say you are in Delhi and you want to travel to Chennai, then it would be all the more difficult, right? So the first thing is, where are we currently? And then where do we want to reach? Yes, Poonamallee madam, absolutely right. How best to use money, investment assets to be able to achieve our goals. Fantastic. Very well said. Okay. All right. Now the third step is to find out the gap. So again, let's say here I am currently, I want to go here, right? Then this is the gap which I have, right? Again, to make it simple, let's say currently I have 1 lakh rupees with me. My goal is 10 lakh rupees. That's where I want to go, right? Destination. I have 1 lakh rupees with me. Now, this gap of 9 lakhs is what I have to take care of, right? In how much time? That is also important. In how much time period I have to take care of this particular accumulation, the balanced one. And then what approach do I take? Where should I invest my money, etc., etc. Right? Another example, let's say I want to go to Chennai and I have to reach there by today evening itself, right? Then I have no other option but to fly if I am in Mumbai, right? But if I am in Bangalore and I need to go to Chennai, then there are multiple ways. I can drive down also, I can take a bus also, right? And I can reach Chennai by evening today. So our approach, our investment avenues, how much do I invest would have a big impact in terms of what our goal is, right? And what is the gap area where I have to reach versus where I am currently. Now, the fourth step is we finalize the plan. So we create a blueprint, right? Just like when an architect creates a blueprint for constructing a building, isn't it? So the architect would go as per the plan. So we have to finalize that plan. So where would I invest my money? How much would I invest my money, right? And how much time will it take for me to be able to achieve my goal? So creating the plan, completing, finalizing the plan. And the next step obviously is implementing the plan, right? So I start my investments. I make sure that, let's say, if I do certain SIPs, I do those SIPs, right? Because if I am just planning, I'm just thinking about it, just wishful thinking will not help me reach towards my goal, isn't it? God is in execution. Ultimately, we have to execute it, right? So that's the fifth step. Okay. Now, what do you think would be the last step? What do you think would be the sixth step? After we have implemented, what do you think we need to do? Follow up. Yes, absolutely right. Control and follow up. Perfectly right. Awesome. Very well said. Right? Which means we need to review our investments. We may need to make sure that every year or on a periodic basis, it could be every year, it could be half yearly. Some people may want to do it on a quarterly basis, right? We review our investments. Just like when you are traveling, when you are going in your car, right? I am sure you would want to make sure suppose you are going to a different place where you've not been to earlier, right? Assume that you're traveling by road and there are not many people on the road. You would definitely want to make sure whether we are traveling in the right direction or not, right? Maybe you would take the help of Google Maps, or you may stop your car and ask someone, right, whether we are going towards the right way or not. Absolutely right. Fantastic, madam. Perfectly right. Right? So we need to make sure that we review our investments on a regular basis. Because many a times you would have heard people say that I have made these investments, but I am not getting my desired rate of return, right? Or it is quite possible that our financial situation may change, right? Somebody may have got married. Somebody may have had new member in the family. Somebody may have got a promotion, right? Somebody may have had certain other responsibilities getting in. Sorry, other responsibilities may have got increased, right? So depending upon the situations, we may have to do a stock check. We may have to do a review, right? I mean, imagine something like COVID may spring up, right? Now, COVID obviously has impacted people phenomenally. So it's quite possible somebody may have lost a job, or there could have been a salary reduction. Now, if that person was investing a certain amount every month, and now if the salary has got reduced, probably this person may not be able to invest the same amount. So a change in plan may be required now, right? And that is why review is very important, to be able to make course correction. Right? Now let's learn about all these steps in detail. Okay, so this is the sixth step: monitoring and review. Right? So just like report cards, which students get from their colleges, they get back. Now the purpose is that the students should be able to review their performance and should be able to improve on that, right? I am sure you would be giving feedback to the students on a regular basis. In evaluation, yes, madam, absolutely right. Assessment and evaluation and feedback is very, very important, right? Those of you who are deans or principals or head of the departments, I am sure you all would have been regularly appraising the performance of your colleagues and giving them feedback on a regular basis, right? That's how we improve. Feedback, the purpose is to be able to improve, right? None of us is perfect. At the end of the day, we are all human beings and we would keep improving all the time, right? So no matter how good an investor somebody thinks he or she is, the person may be making some mistakes. So course correction is important, right? Assessment is all over. Absolutely right, madam. Very well said. All right. So let's understand all these 6 steps in more detail now. And that's what we'll do today. We'll understand all these steps in detail. Okay. So the first step is, as we discussed, where are we now? Where are we now? Okay. Let me ask you, how would we find it out? What is it that we should be doing? Right? Many of you would be the commerce teachers, right? And I'm sure we would have been teaching a lot of things pertaining to this. So how do we evaluate where are we now? Tell me, please. How do we find out where are we now? When it comes to our own money, our own family, our financial goals. How do we find out? SWOT, okay. SWOT analysis, we do strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. But here we are talking about money, right? So we are talking about finding out where am I now, whether I'm in Mumbai, whether I'm in Delhi, whether I'm in Bangalore, whether I'm in Kochi, right? How much money do I have now with me? Right? What is it that we will do? Any other thought? Yes, Yusuf sir, assessment. How will we do that? What is it that we'll find out? You're all on the right track. Absolutely right. What is that we will do? Yes, how much money I have it. But how will we find it out? Trade-off, okay. So let's find out what is it. Yes, absolutely right. Income versus expenses. Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. Who said that? Priya madam, perfectly right. Income and expenses, absolutely right. Right. So this is what we will look at, and also we will look at our assets versus our liabilities. Right. So let's check it out. We will develop financial statements. Just like companies do it, they would create their profit and loss statement. They would create their their balance sheet, right? Just like that, we will create our own financial statements, right? Now, this is very, very critical. But unfortunately, I have met very few people who would be doing that. Many of us would have knowledge about cash flow statements. Many of us would have knowledge about balance sheets, but we would have never thought about creating our own cash flow statement or creating our balance sheet, right? And that's very critical, and we will discuss that now. Yes, madam, perfectly right. Yes. Sorry, I'm not, able to keep pace with the flow of messages in the chat with the names. So I may not be able to take names every time. Kindly pardon me if I miss out on that. There is no bad intention there. I may not be able to read it that swiftly. So the first statement, as we learned, is the cash flow statement, which is also called as the income expense statement. Complete record of our income minus versus our expenses. And the second one is our assets versus our liabilities, right? So this is also called as the balance sheet or the net worth statement, right? Now let's have some example of income expense statement, right? So this is an example of income expense statement. Now, as you could see, we would have certain inflows where we get our money from. It could be from salary, it could be from business, it could be from maybe dividends from the stocks, right? It could be interest income, it could be rental income, right? We would have our incomes from different sources. So let's say a person has salaried income and 585 is the salaried income. Then what could be the other income? For example, this person may have portfolio income, let's say dividends, right? So 70,000 is income from dividends. So the total income is 6,55,000. That's the income of the person, right? Now, what are the outflows? Now, in outflows, you would see two terms. One is discretionary expenses, and the other one is non-discretionary expenses, right? So what do we mean by discretionary expenses? So discretionary expenses mean those expenses which we have complete control on, which are not mandatory, right? But those expenses are at our discretion. For example, clubhouse membership, movie, right? Eating out. These are all discretionary expenses. These are at our discretion, right? These are not mandatory ones, right? So discretionary expenses could be, for example, movie, restaurant, pleasure trip, right? The non-discretionary expenses are those where we do not have any discretion of, and these are mandatory expenses. For example, it could be school fees, college fees of children. It could be your kitchen expenses, right? Your expenses on utility bills, electricity, cooking gas, blah, 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 right? These are called as non-discretionary expenses. You cannot control these beyond a point, right? You cannot say that, okay, let me save electricity expenses. Let's sit in darkness. You cannot say that, right? So we need to understand, right? And then we would also write, where are our investments? What are our investments? Where are we investing money regularly? Right? So our SIPs. Yeah. Now, the difference between your inflows minus your outflows would be the disposable income. Okay. So it's not come completely here. On my screen, it is not complete. Maybe you may be able to see, right? So the difference between inflows and outflows is the disposable income. Yes. How much money can we set aside for further investments? Right? What's the kind of money which is available with you for further investments? That's the disposable income, and that's very important to find out. The next thing is, so non-discretionary expenses, as we said, are those expenses which are mandatory ones, right? Like house rent, food, kitchen expenses, etc. The next one is balance sheet. Just a minute. The next one is balance sheet or the net worth statement. Now here we find out the difference between our assets and liabilities. Right? Now, net worth statement is a very important statement. Each of us must know our net worth. Many people I've met, most of the people whom I've met, they have never computed their net worth. They do not even know what their net worth is. Right? Ideally speaking, we need to track it on a regular basis. Right? So this is how we can, a very simplified version of net worth statement. So what are your assets? Your assets are your investments. Yes? Yeah, your investment, absolutely right, Poonamallee madam. Right? So your investments could be in terms of your financial assets. It could be in terms of your non-financial assets. Let's say in terms of gold, for example, right? Or real estate, for example. Your financial assets could be your mutual funds, your stocks, all these things, bonds, right? These are your financial assets. Similarly, you would have your retirement assets also, your employee provident fund, your public provident fund, your gratuity, NPS, National Pension System. All these would be your retirement assets, right? And then you have, you may have liabilities. It could be home loan, your car loan. It could be maybe personal loan. Some people may have taken that also, right? So the assets minus liabilities would be your net worth. Now, why is it important to know your net worth? See, ideally speaking, your assets should keep increasing and your liabilities should keep going down, right? That is where you would be positively, growing financially. But imagine a situation wherein I am buying different assets. So I may be buying a car on loan. I may be buying television on loan, right? My assets are increasing, but at the cost of my liabilities, right? So that is very important for us to understand. Now, after we have found out where we are, now we need to find out where do we have to go. What's our destination? Where do we have to reach? What are our financial goals? Right? So we need to find out our financial goals. We need to identify our financial goals. Right? It could be in terms of children's education, children's marriage, retirement planning. It could be in terms of our dreams. We may be wanting to go abroad, blah, 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 blah. As we discussed, we may have different types of financial goals. Right? Now, would everybody have the same financial goals or will it be different? Would a 25-year-old person have the same financial goal as a 35-year-old person? Different, right? Would a 40-year-old person have the same financial goals as a 60-year-old person? No, everybody would have different goals, right? It depends upon the life stage of a person. You know, I always say this in my training program that in 1996 when I got married, at that time the preferred honeymoon destination of newly married people was destination like Kanyakumari or Kodaikanal or Uti, Manali, right? Srinagar, those were the kinds of preferred destinations that we used to have. But you ask any any young person now, where would they want to go for their honeymoon? Yeah, any thoughts? Where would today's generation want to go for honeymoon to? Yeah, they would want to go abroad. They would want to go to New Zealand. New Zealand. They would want to go to Paris, right? All these locations within India, they have now become more of weekend destinations, right? So let's go to Kanyakumari over the weekend. Let's go to Kodaikanal, all these things, right? Yeah, obviously now because of COVID, we cannot go. Now it's an exception. But the fact of the matter is, today even a young person would want to have, would be having huge dreams, big dreams in terms of, maybe going to honeymoon, and all this would require huge money, right? So the stages of our life are very simply. So first, we all would have been students, right? Then we would have got married. Sorry, we would have got a job, right? We would have got a job, and then you get married and you have children. Then the children start growing, right? Then a time would come when the children are ready to pursue their own professional careers. Maybe they would want to leave your house, right? So and now the couple, you and your spouse, you would be alone, right? And thereafter you may get retired. Your active income, whatever you were doing may stop, right? And you would then require passive income, regular flow of income to be able to enjoy your life, right? And so this is the flow. This is the stage. These are the stages of life which are applicable for everyone, right? So what could be the financial goals here? Be different, right? Someone who's just got into a job, the financial goals may be different. Maybe this person may want to do something for the parents. This person may want to make sure that my parents have done so much for me. They have suffered so many sacrifices. Now it's my job to make them, enjoy their lives, right? So everyone would have different financial goals. So it's important that we work out our financial goals. we should not look at our neighbor or our colleague and invest money the way they are doing, because their financial goals are different. Your financial goals are different, right? Similarly, they may be able to take a bigger risk. We may not be able to take a bigger risk. We may not want to take a bigger risk. Their risk appetite may be different. Our risk appetite may be different, right? So we should not invest money looking at what somebody else is doing. And unfortunately, this many people do. That if somebody has invested money somewhere, I will also do this. Each investor is different. Everybody has different needs, all that. Let's have a case study. We will look at different goals, keeping this case study in mind. So Dr. Mohan is working as an assistant professor in a college. He is 38 years old. His wife is 34. And they have 2 children, aged 7 and 5, right? What kind of financial goals do you think they would be having? Yeah, please tell me. What kind of financial goals do you think they will be having? Yes, please. Yes, please. What kind of financial goals would they be having? Yeah, car, house, children's education, correct? Right? Perfectly right. Yeah, education for Mohit and Tanvi. Yeah, correct. Okay. What about their own retirement planning? Yeah, health insurance may be very important. Health insurance is very important. Retirement plans, right? So just remember responsibilities, dreams, and risk management. So it will make it very easy for you to classify all the kinds of, to list all the kinds of financial goals. Just keep in mind responsibilities, dreams, and risk management, right? So you can think of what all responsibility they may have. Like I'll tell you a situation. Somebody known to me, his brother-in-law passed away, right? So now the financial responsibility of his sister and children, nephew and niece, came upon him. And he is now responsible financially for his children and nephew and niece. That's a different kind of responsibility. I knew someone who had a mentally retarded daughter. Right, so this couple, they were in their late 60s, and the mentally retarded daughter, became financially was financially dependent upon her parents. Right, so different people may have different responsibilities. Right? Yeah, correct. So obviously we will need to plan for our pension. Right? All right. So let's now. So we already discussed that what kind of responsibility they may have. So what kind of financial goals they may be having. So in terms of responsibilities, it could be retirement planning, educational expenses of the children, their higher education expenses, planning for that. It could be in terms of their own parental responsibility they may have. Right? Dreams, maybe they want to go abroad every year. They may want a bigger house. They may want one more car, maybe 2 cars, right? They may want maybe more gadgets. So different dreams they may have, right? Similarly, in terms of their risk management. So we'll talk about investments later on. In fact, that's what we will do over the next 6 days after today's session. Right. So this is just the beginning. Appreciate your enthusiasm. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about equity markets, debt markets, and we'll also learn about how to be able to create wealth using mutual funds. Right. So we are actually on step 1 today. We'll hopefully by end of this program, you'll be able to get the information. Yeah, absolutely right. Wants are unlimited. People have a lot of desire, right? So from a broader perspective, we are not getting into the detail. Every client would, generally want to make sure that their tax liability is reduced. They would want to make sure that they have focused, well in terms of their tax planning. They would want to make sure that their budgeting and spending plans are absolutely in order, right? Various kinds of risks, personal risks, property risks have been taken care of. If they have taken loans, then the debt is managed appropriately, right? Again, one of the very important financial planning goals is that I would want to make sure that after I die, my wealth should get transferred to my family members as per my desire. Just for example, let us say if a person has got 2 children, let's say 2 sons, theoretically speaking, and one son does not take care of the parents, the other son takes care of the parents, right? Now, if let's say the parents want that only this son who takes care of us should be, getting our property. So they, if they have not made a will, then as per the law, right, the wealth would get distributed between both the children equally. But if the parents they had made a will, then in that case, the wealth would get distributed as per their desires to the son they want, right? So distributing wealth as per their desires. Tax planning is what we've already discussed, right? Again, investment options as per the risk appetite of the person, depending upon what kind of, in how much time they have to achieve those goals, all those things, right? So broadly speaking, these are the various kinds of financial goals that people may have. Right? Now, the horizon of financial goals will be different. For example, if a person who is going to get married over the next 2 years, if he wants to go to, let's say, Paris for honeymoon, right? And he wants to accumulate the money himself. As for example, he has a horizon of only 2 years, right? If let's say somebody starts a professional career at the age of 23, and this person wants to retire at the age of 58, right? Then the time horizon is 35 years for retirement planning, right? So certain goals would be long term, certain goals would be short term, and certain goals will be medium term, right? So just to give you a snapshot, the goals up to 3 years are short term goals. Goals which are due between 4 to 7 years, they are long, medium term goals, and the goals which are due more than 7 years, they are long term goals. Right now, how is it important? So obviously, for example, if your goal is short term, right, then equity may not be the right investment avenue. The risk is high, right? But if your goal is due 30 years from now, let's say for retirement planning, then obviously you have to focus on equity, right? Because the duration of the goal is long term. So these things are very important. when we will learn about the equity markets and debt markets and mutual funds in detail, we will be using these things, all these things. Okay? So just understand, today is a trailer of a movie that we are going to see going forward. Okay? So we will be using all these concepts. We are just trying to set the tone for the program. Okay? All right. So what we said was, first step is where we are, where we want to go, right? And then finding the gap, right? So the third step is finding the gap, right? So let's again look at the same case study. So assume that they want their children to get educated, you know, in their higher education. They want that they should study abroad, right? Let's imagine, or in a very good institution, maybe in India itself. Now, currently, they think that the goal amount in today's prices is 20 lakhs. Right? So if the goal amount is 20 lakhs, obviously it will not remain 20 lakhs 11 years from now, 13 years from now in case of the elder child, and 15 years from now in case of the younger child, isn't it? Because of inflation, the goal would become bigger, right? So they will need to find that out, right? Again, when we look at it, inflation in education is higher. So imagine if the inflation is 12% per annum, then that goal would also get inflated, right? So we shall learn about how to calculate it. We shall do that in one of the sessions, right? But this is important, right? Yeah. All right. So then we will compute the financial goal. For example, it may come out to 1 crore, right? It may come to 1 crore rupees for the son, and maybe 1 crore 20 lakhs for the daughter, right? So that's a goal which is there. Now, considering whatever money they have today, imagine the total money that they have available is 5 lakhs. Now, the goal could be 1 crore 1 crore 10 lakhs for one child. Total, it could be 2 crore 10 lakhs. And right now they have maybe, let's say, 5 lakhs. So what's the gap? That amount is the gap. Right? So they then find out what is the gap. Right? Now that gap becomes the target now. Isn't it? Just like in cricket, let's say the team batting second has a target of 200 runs. Now that becomes a goal. They need to make sure that they cross 200 runs. Right? Now they need to find out, as we discussed, what is the amount that they need to invest for. What's the goal amount? Okay? And thereafter, they will find out how should they go about it. So now they know what is the goal amount. Just like in cricket, once the team knows that this is our target, they would then create a strategy, right? For example, Chennai Super Kings, assume that Bangalore Royal Challengers Bangalore, they have scored 220 runs, right? So maybe MS Dhoni will decide that now we need to change our plan, right? Maybe the opening batting is done by someone else, right? Because they have to chase a huge score now. So now we will need to create a plan as to how do we go about it. Okay? Yes. Absolutely right. Irrespective of whether it is cricket or any other game, once we know the target, we have to plan to go for it. Perfectly right, madam. Okay. Now, the goal, along with the time horizon that you have. In how much time do you need, sorry, do you need to achieve the goal? Right? For example, somebody may need to achieve this goal in 20 years. Somebody may need to achieve this goal in 30 years. Right? Now just imagine another situation. So today there are a lot of people who get married at a very late age. Right? So let's say somebody has got married at the age of 33, just for example. Let's imagine that he has child at the age of 34. Right? Now, if this person is going to retire at the age of 58, he just has 24 years left to be able to take care of all the goals, including children's education, including their marriage, including his own retirement, right? But if somebody were to get married at the age of 25 and they have the family, complete by 27 years, this person will have 31 years more to go, right? So the horizon will be much longer, isn't it? So horizon is again very important, right? Again, pick it example. Now, if you have to achieve a target of 200 runs in a 20-over match, it requires a different game. If you need to achieve a target of 200 runs in 50-over match, it requires a different approach, right? So the approach would depend upon the horizon which you have, isn't it? And again, it would depend upon the investment options which you will pursue, right? For example, if the horizon is short, you cannot invest in equity, isn't it? It's going to be more riskier. You may not want to, you should not be investing in real estate, right? Just imagine today if somebody requires money, selling a property, real estate is going to be very, very difficult, right? Maybe if the property is costing 1 crore, you may not be able to get more than 90 lakhs if you want to sell at a short notice, isn't it? So it matters a lot, right? Okay, now where all can people invest money? What are the asset classes available in investments? Where all can people invest money? Tell me, please. Jewelry is not an investment, madam. In fact, good you pointed it out. Jewelry is a consumption asset, right? Whatever you want to maybe wear jewelry, it's a consumption asset. It's not for investment. If you want to invest in gold, then the correct options would be, for example, sovereign gold bonds. The government has recently come out with it, right? You have gold ETFs, right? Jewelry is not the right, gold mutual funds are also there, right? Yeah, mutual fund is there, stocks are there, right? So these are various, real estate is also an asset class. So let's look at various asset classes. Yeah. FD, actually, we will talk about it in depth, right? See, FD may not be the right means from an investment perspective. FD could be right just to build an emergency fund, because the real rate of return from FDs would be negative. Right? We'll talk about it later on. So equity, fixed income or fixed income instruments, bonds, etc. Right? Gold, as we discussed, real estate. These are examples of different asset classes. Now, equity as an asset class has given phenomenal returns. No other asset class has given as high returns as equity. And from tomorrow and day after, we shall be learning about equity, right? So the compounded annual growth rate of equity from 79 till 2000 till now today is over 16%, 16.17% to be precise, right? So equity has given phenomenally high returns. And obviously, if you want to create wealth, equity is something which is important. But then these returns of 16% have not been there every year. These returns have been varying. So if you look at last 10 years, the average returns from equity have been 11%. Last 5 years, average returns have been 14 odd percent. This year has been an exception. Now, this particular picture is till 20th of July. But obviously, thereafter, equity markets have really run very high. And I'm sure the returns this year would have been 50% plus. Right? So, average returns over the last 42 years have been 42%. Sorry, 16%. I beg your pardon. Average returns over the last 42 years have been 16% in equity. Just a second, please. Yeah. Now, it's very important that we understand one thing. Normally, people think that income minus expenses should be what savings should be, right? Is what savings should be, but that's not correct. Actually, it is income minus savings which should be your expenses. So every month, whatever amount you want to invest, you should first invest and then spend the balance one. That would be the right approach, right? Why not FD and all that? Because ultimately inflation is a big monster. So if you are getting, let's say, 6% returns from FD, right? And inflation is 7%, then that's a negative rate of return, right? If your inflation itself is 7%, then obviously our returns have to be more than 7%. Right? Plus, the returns in FD would be even lower because of the tax element, right? So we shall learn about all these things. If somebody's mic is on, if you could mute it, please. Thank you. Okay. So this is Trinity of investments. So when we talk about investments, the three important things in investments are risk, return, and liquidity. Right? Risk is how much risk you can take. Returns is how much returns would you be getting. And liquidity is how soon can you liquidate your investments? How soon can you sell your investments? Right? So as I gave you the example of real estate, if your goal is short term and you have invested your money in real estate, you may not even be able to liquidate your investments on time. Right? So these things are very important for us to be able to take decisions. Now, should we allocate our investment just to one particular asset class? Should we invest only in equity or should we invest only in debt? No, right? We should apportion our investments across different asset classes, right? That's very important. And as they say, you should not put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification is important. Why? To reduce the risk, reduce the total risk, right? Yeah, so that's very important. You can, for example, invest across different asset classes. Now, how will we invest across different asset classes would depend upon different investors, right? And just like you have a thali, when you eat a thali, right? You have different bowls there, right? Similarly, our portfolio should be similar to a thali. We should have our investments across different asset classes. Yeah, index fund is equity. Yeah, correct. So we will talk about index funds going forward. Okay. So concept of asset allocation is that depending upon the risk appetite of the investor, depending upon the horizon, depending upon what kind of returns do they require, investor needs to create a portfolio across different asset classes. So let's say somebody who can take bigger risk may want to invest 80% in equity and 20% in debt. Somebody who's got a lesser risk appetite may say, I will invest only 60% in equity and the balance in debt, right? Maybe somebody will say 60% in debt, 20% in real estate, 20% in other asset class, right? So every investor is different. We will learn about it going forward. So it depends upon the personal situation. Every investor is different. One size fits all does not work. What suits you may not suit me. What suits me may not suit you, right? So our goals may be different, our risk appetite may be different, our horizon may be different. So we need to invest keeping in mind our own investment, our own financial goals, our own situation, our own risk appetite, right? Now, after you've created a financial plan where you want to invest money, how much in equity, how much in debt, how much in real estate, how much in gold, etc., etc. Now the time is to implement that plan into action, right? So now you will have to implement it, right? So make sure that you start SIPs, make sure that you take it forward. Now insurance, very important, as we discussed, man proposes but God disposes, right? We cannot leave it to the Almighty. If I am no more there, I need to make sure that all the financial goals that we have for our children, they get taken care of even if I am no more there, isn't it? So I need to, have planned for adequate insurance also, right? Because see, we all have risk impacting us continuously. It could be accident, it could be fire, right? It could be floods, it could be earthquake, right? It could be hospitalization, right? And COVID has come across as a live example. So many people have got phenomenally impacted by it, right? And unfortunately, death, the ultimate one, right? So we cannot leave it to chance. We need to make sure that we adequately, manage the risk. And as somebody had said the last time, insurance is transfer of risk, right? So the risk gets transferred from the insured, the person, to the insurer, to the insurance company. Okay, and how is that done? How should we do that? So first thing is, you should have term insurance. Remember, insurance and investments are different things altogether, right? Many insurance people will come to you and they will say that buy this plan, buy that plan. Investment is different from insurance. So life insurance purely means term insurance, pure vanilla protection insurance, which means, God forbid, if there's a mishappening, you get some assured. Okay. Health insurance, again, very important. We need to have adequate health insurance. Again, make sure that our property is insured, right? All big assets, they are adequately insured. Home, car, two-wheeler, etc., etc. So the financial planning process, the fifth part is implementation, as we discussed. We need to implement the plans as we discussed earlier, right? For example, in case of insurance policies, we need to make sure that we have the insurance process completed. We have the policies with us. Now, the last part, remember we discussed about review. So now we need to review it every year. We need to find out that if I had assumed that my investments will give me 8% returns, well, am I getting 8% return? Will I be able to reach my destination? Right? For example, when you travel, let's say in train, you may have assumed that you will reach, next day morning. but maybe you find out that the train is running late, right? And if you get to know that the train is running late, obviously you will have to inform, right? You will have to inform someone, let's say, whom you are supposed to meet, that the train is late. I'll not be able to reach by this time, right? Similarly, for your investments, you take appropriate actions. Okay. Now, as we discussed earlier, that this is something which is very important, and I would strongly encourage you all that in your respective educational institutions, kindly see if more and more maybe you could organize some seminars for the mothers, for the non-working ladies, and see if we could help them. Now, ultimately, when we talk about financial wellness, just one minute. It's all about having knowledge, right? Having skills, having adequate habits, right? Of, let's say, following the plan, implementing the plan, and the right attitude. For example, first saving and then spending is an attitude, right? But let's say if we are having this approach that we will see tomorrow what happens, let me spend money today, there's this sale coming, that sale coming, that probably it will not help us going forward, right? So having the right attitude is also very important. Okay. So that's it. That's what I wanted to share with you. So I'll be happy to take questions now, whatever questions you may have. Yes, please. Any questions?
Audience, you can unmute yourself and then ask the questions. Hello.
Yes, please.
People, you can unmute yourself and then ask. Yeah.
Which type of investment is advisable for women, whether short term or long term? See, whether it is women or whether it is men, at the end of the day, your investments would depend upon your goal. If your goal is short term, you have to keep that horizon in mind. For example, let's say if you want to buy a new music system next year, right? Now, in that particular case, let's say over a period of 1 year, you should not be investing in equity for a 1 year perspective. Then in that case, the fixed deposit would be a better option, right? Because returns are not important, but liquidity is important and risk is also important, right? So it depends upon, remember, it depends upon the horizon, it depends upon your risk appetite, it depends upon what kind of financial goal you have. If your goal is due 30 years from now, anything more than 10 years, then obviously equity would be the right choice. We shall discuss about it when we learn about equity. Is financial planning constant for all the things? No, it's not constant at all. It would depend upon the situation, right? Different situations, different scenarios, different kinds of requirements. It would depend upon that. Every mutual fund is for investment like bank, etc. Sir, I have not been able to understand the question. Every mutual fund is for investment like bank. Banks are different asset, different products. Mutual fund again is across different asset classes, right? If we want to create wealth through mutual funds, we could invest through debt option also. We could invest through equity also. There are hybrid schemes also which are there, where the investment is done in both equity and debt, right? We can also invest in gold through mutual funds. So mutual fund is actually an indirect approach where we are investing through a fund manager. Right? You can invest yourself also, and you can invest through a fund manager also. Right? So we will discuss more about it when we learn about investments. Some certificate courses available for trading. So in terms of certificate courses for trading, honestly, I am not aware about it. I know that NISM does have a course for securities markets. In fact, I am taking that exam on 14th of this month. It's one foundation, securities market foundation course. But is there any specific recognized course from a recognized institution like NISM on trading? No, not to the best of my knowledge. Yes, there are a lot of private entities which do have various courses, but I am not aware about it, to be honest. Is it safe for investing? Trading is more from a short-term perspective. Investment is from a long-term perspective. In the session day after tomorrow, we'll learn more about both these things. So if you could just wait for some time, we shall be discussing it day after tomorrow. Bank and broking companies force their customers to go for an. Yeah, very good question, madam. Yes, it happens, but then ultimately it's the investors who need to be aware about it, so that they could take the informed decision. They could take the right decision. Say the environment, the market around us would be tempting us, would be really wanting us to invest money in various avenues. It's our job to take the right decision. And that's where this knowledge would come handy, so that you could take informed decision, right? We do not get tempted. We do not take decisions basis our, prejudices, or basis our temptations, or because of just because somebody who's relative of ours is wanting us to invest money there. Say this is a hard-earned money. I know over the last 1.5 years, ever since this pandemic started, you guys have been really going, overboard, running against the clock in terms of doing online sessions. Unfortunately, many people think that conducting online sessions is very easy, but I know how difficult it is. How difficult it is to manage the students. How difficult it is to keep up with the work pressures. All these things are there. So yours is a hard-earned money. Please do not let anyone take advantage of it, right? And that is why this concept is so very important. Will medical result disturb the calculation for pure insurance 20 times? Yeah. See, ultimately, how life insurance happens is that it's a game of probability, right? If let's say I am unwell, if I am unhealthy, right? Then obviously the probability of me not surviving will be higher than somebody who's very healthy. So let's take an example that in a group of 1,000 people, the normal mortality rate would be 3, which means 3 out of 10,000 people, 1,000 people will pass away, right? In case of a group of unhealthy people, this rate would be 6 out of 1,000, right? So insurance company may want to increase the premium for those people who are unhealthy. And if they think that the risk is too high, they may decline the risk cover. They may decline the proposal. They may not accept it, right? So it does have impact in terms of the health status does have an impact. Bitcoin investments, madam, Unfortunately, the government has not clarified its position. The younger population has been going overboard in that. It's very, very popular abroad. I have not invested myself in it, not even a single rupee, because I would want to invest in it only after the regulators prescribe their stand. RBI has been mentioning that we will come out with our own digital currency, but they have not done that as yet. So still waiting for that, because see, unless something is recognized by our regulators, I personally think many people have said that it's a bubble, but many people have have been investing also in it. Personally speaking, my opinion, that's my personal opinion, I think it is too risky. So I wouldn't want to invest in Bitcoin, but that's my opinion. Any other question, please? Okay, I'm sharing the link to the quiz. So there are just 5 questions. You may click that link. And in case, sir, I'll request you to kindly share the link in the WhatsApp group also, so that just in case somebody may have got logged out due to network, or if somebody has not joined, they may also be able to take the quiz. This is a very easy quiz. Going forward, we will not have easy question. So the question will be intermediate level, neither very easy nor very difficult. But since looking at the kind of interaction we have had, I am sure most of you would be scoring full marks, and we'll have one more test tomorrow, and we. Any more question, please?
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Welcome. So
Like,
yes,
sir.
I'll just share the next slide. So this is what we learned about today. We learned about concept of financial planning process, asset classes of investments, asset allocation concept, and need for managing. Sorry, pardon me for the spelling mistake in managing. The asset classes, the asset allocation, and in detail. So tomorrow and day after, we shall be learning about the equity markets. The next day, we'll be learning about, Saturday, I believe, we'll be learning about the debt markets. Monday, we shall be learning about the anti-money laundering, because that's again very important. And the next 2 days, we shall be learning about creating wealth with mutual funds. So hopefully, from practical perspective, we shall be able to learn about how to go about investments. And in case whatever questions are there, I will try my best to answer those. So I'm sharing my contact details with you. So these are the contact details. I hope you found the session to be useful. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and thank you so much for the excellent participation. It was definitely very, very useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Even the pleasure is mutual, actually. We enjoyed a lot, actually. So thank you very much, sir. So like the session was very much interesting, informative, and interactive too. And right from the beginning of the session, the questions and the answers, like a person who doesn't know anything about management and commerce also can grasp some information from your interaction and your information, sir. So thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much. And generally, there is a saying state that a guest is a jewel of the house because he adds values to that host. So today's valuable guest has given a value for the day and will definitely add values for the rest of the days too. We are waiting for the next forthcoming sessions also, sir. Thank you very much. And definitely your inboxes will be filled with messages and contacts, and there'll be much invitations for you
sure.
for the next coming programs, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, just a minute, sir. Thank you. So no duty is more urgent than that of returning thanks. So here is a woman who is very calm and composed with few words and lots of action, has come here to perform her duties. I invite Mrs. KB Priya, head of the BCom Bank Management Department, to propose a vote of thanks. Madam, please.
Thank you, sir. Uh, Good evening to all. It's a great honor and pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on this event. I thank our chief guest, Mr. Ravinder Singh Chawla, founder and managing partner, RSC Skill Building and Consulting Solution LLP. Thank you so much, sir, for taking us through concepts of setting financial goal. Like you said, majority participants are women. With your inputs and guidance during this FD faculty development program, I'm sure we will empower ourselves by making all financial investment decisions. Thank you once again, sir. I would like to thank our management, the correspondent, Thirupi Venkatesh Raja, our beloved principal, Dr. Malati Selvakumar, our lovable director, Dr. Sai Satyavati, our program coordinator, Dr. S. Kanapati, staff members and all participants for making this FDP grand success and expecting the same support and participation for the upcoming days as well. Thank you all. I take a moment to express my sincere thanks to the technical team for extending their support to reach wider audience through Zoom and YouTube. Once again, my deepest sense of gratitude and appreciation to all. Stay safe and happy learning. Thank you all. Good evening.
Thank you, Priya ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I just want to say a few words.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir Chawla, sir, thank you so much.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank you for taking me for a short walk down the memory lane. Okay, you brought back those lovely days we had, those 2 sessions, wonderful sessions. Thank you so much. It felt so much. I felt very nice. And looking at the feedback is amazing. So you continue rocking, sir. So we'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'll see you
madam.
tomorrow, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Over to
Just read somebody's message that the quiz is locked. I'll just check it and you may try it after some time, please. Else, I will share a revised link in case it's not working with sir, and he'll have it shared across the WhatsApp group. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Not at all. Thank you, ma'am. So, as I just said, that is finding beauty in simple things is romanticism, and finding good things in bad situation is optimism. So, in this pandemic period, in this lockdown, generally people are talking about the negative side of the life, but actually people are learning a lot in the evenings, and the evenings are very fruitful during this lockdown period because of such workshop, faculty development programs, and so on. So, let us all be optimistic and let us all make the world COVID-free as soon as possible. So let us all meet tomorrow. Have a safe day. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.